Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Meenakshi and I'm doing a video series on the landmark cases relating to Article 368 of the Indian Constitution. This is a series of videos where we are discussing all the landmark cases relating to amendment of the Constitution of India one by one. In today's video, we are going to discuss the landmark case Golaknath and others versus State of Punjab. In two of my previous videos, I have already discussed the landmark cases Sankari Prasad Singh versus Union of India and Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan. If you haven't watched those previous videos yet, I would ask you to go and check out those two videos from the links given in description box below or from the links over here. Because these cases are related to one another, it would be easier for you to understand the cases better if you follow them one by one. Now, assuming that you have watched both the two previous videos, I will start with today's case, Golaknath and others versus State of Punjab. This is a case of the year 1967 and was decided by a constitution bench consisting of 11 judges. This was the first time that such a large constitution bench was formed for the first time. In this case, the validity of Punjab Security of Land Tenures Act 1953 and Mysore Land Reforms Act were challenged by the petitioners under Article 32 of the Constitution of India. What is Article 32? It gives us power to directly move to the Supreme Court for violation of any of our fundamental rights. Now, both these two legislations were inserted in 9th schedule by the Constitution 17th Amendment Act 1964, and as a result, the constitutional validity of 17th Constitution Act 1974 was also challenged in this case. So, if you remember, in the previous two cases of Sankari Prasad and Sajjan Singh, constitutional validity of 1st and 17th Constitution Amendment Acts were upheld by the Supreme Court of India. As in, under Article 368, Parliament has this power that it can make changes in any part of the Constitution, including Part 3. Even 9th schedule to the Constitution of India was considered as valid. So, any legislation inserted under 9th schedule of the Constitution of India will be a valid legislation, even though it is affecting the fundamental rights guaranteed to us under Part 3 of the Constitution of India. So in this case, it was also urged that the decisions of Sankari Prasad Singh versus Union of India and Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan, where constitutional validity of these amendment acts were upheld, are also wrongly decided. And it was contended that under Article 368 of the Indian Constitution, Parliament has no power to make changes or take away the fundamental rights that are guaranteed to us under Part 3 of the Constitution of India. Now, as we are clear with the history of this act, let's move ahead and see what were the basic facts of this case. So, there is a family of two brothers, Henry and William Golaknath, in Jalandhar, Punjab. And both these two brothers held over 500 acres of farmland in Jalandhar, Punjab. Now, it was around 1953 when Punjab government held that both these two brothers can keep only 30 acres of land each. Out of the remaining portion of land, few acres would go to the tenants and few will be considered as surplus. So this decision was challenged by Golaknath's family, and finally this matter was referred to the Supreme Court of India in 1965. So the family of Henry and William Golaknath filed a case before Supreme Court of India under Article 32 of the Constitution of India, challenging the validity of Punjab Security and Land Tenures Act that was considered violative of the fundamental rights guaranteed to them to hold and acquire property under Article 19, Clause 1, Clause F, and to practice any profession under Article 19, Clause 1, Clause G. This was also considered violative of the fundamental right to equality before law and equal protection of law under Article 14 of the Constitution. So both these two brothers challenged the constitutional validity of the 17th Constitution Amendment Act by which this Punjab Land Security and Tenure Act was inserted under 9th Schedule of Constitution. Now, if you remember the previous two cases, Sankari Prasad and Sajjan Singh, you would know that a lot of different legislations were inserted under 9th Schedule. By 1st Constitution Amendment Act, by 17th Constitution Amendment Act, and under all these state legislations, governments of different states had already acquired a lot of lands from people. Already a lot of actions were taken based on these regulations or legislations. So from 1951 to 1967, a lot of things must have happened based on the decisions of Supreme Court of India. Now, if suddenly Supreme Court of India declares that the 1st Constitution Amendment that inserted 9th Schedule and 17th Constitution Amendment that inserted new regulations or legislations, both these two constitution amendments are invalid, they are not applicable, then it will for sure result in chaos, right? A lot of people would come forward to recover their property or to challenge any actions that were taken by state governments. So keeping this long history in mind, Supreme Court of India for the first time applied the doctrine of prospective overruling in this case. This doctrine was basically evolved by the courts of United States of America. So this doctrine is basically used by courts to declare a law. As in, courts will say that from now onwards, this is like a set principle. This is like a law that should be followed. But this law will be followed in future transactions only. It will not have retrospective effect. Whatever wrong was done, whatever error was done, that will remain as it is. It will not have any impact on those things. But from now onwards, this rule or this principle has to be followed. So same thing happened in this case as well. The judgment was given at a 6:5 majority favoring the petitioners. In this case, Sankari Prasad Singh versus Union of India and Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan were overruled by the court. And it was held that under Article 368, powers given to the Parliament of India are not unlimited. There is a limitation. Parliament cannot make changes to the fundamental rights guaranteed to us under Part 3 of the Constitution. So in the previous two cases, Article 368 was considered to be supreme. It can amend any part of the Constitution, including fundamental rights. But in Golaknath case, it was held that Article 368 is not supreme. Parliament has a limitation. It cannot make changes to Part 3 of the Constitution, the fundamental rights guaranteed to us. So now Article 368 is not supreme, but what is supreme? Part 3 of the Constitution. So that was all for Golaknath versus State of Punjab case. I hope this case is clear to you. There are few more cases remaining in the series of videos relating to Article 368 of the Constitution of India. In the next video, we will be discussing the landmark case Kesavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. Until we come up with that video, you can check out other videos relating to Constitution of India by clicking on this playlist, and videos relating to Indian Contract Act by clicking over this playlist. If you want to watch more videos relating to Specific Relief Act, Negotiable Instruments Act and different other legal topics, you may consider subscribing to this channel. Until we meet next time, bye-bye.